Good morning, goal getters. It's not Monday, but it is the beginning of the week for many of us. Most of us had the day off yesterday. Sorry if you didn't. But it's still the start of a week. And I wanted to talk a little bit about inspiration. We find that, there's this big talk when you talk about goal getting about being inspired and being an inspiration to other people. But in fact, there's a greater aspect to inspiration that we don't talk about. And that's really the journey. Because to be inspired by a goal that someone achieves and you see the end result is to not know the whole story. And it's to not be inspired by the whole story. Because when you look at folks and you see what they've done and you see how they've been able to achieve what they set out as their goals, the first question you should ask is about the journey. Because it's the journey along the way that will help you to be really inspired. Because there were times when that person wanted to give up. There were times when that person had failed. There are times when that person attempted something and it went horribly wrong and they had to reset. There are times when a person set a goal. You have no idea that often the goal that you see someone, achieve at the end is not always even the goal they set out to achieve in the beginning. And so oftentimes you'll see that people don't enact the same amount of admiration for others, for themselves as they do for others. So they'll say, that person is so great, person is so magical, they're able to achieve their goals. It's not that the person is the person is great, but it's not just about their greatness and their magic. It's really about the journey that they were willing to go on. And we talked about this last week about the commitment. You have to be committed to the journey. You have to be committed to the work. And the real thing is that when you look at a person who has achieved their goals, you will see that they had a whole journey. So when you ask yourself, when you say, I'm inspired by that person, think about, what are you inspired by? Are you inspired by the goal only, the win? Are you inspired by the race? Are you inspired by the journey? Because often you hear people say, I wish I was that smart. I wish I was that committed. I wish I was that energetic. I wish I had that much money. I wish I had that job. You don't have to wish. You can just do. But as long as you're sitting on the sidelines watching someone else who is living the hell out of their life, as long as you're sitting on the sidelines watching and not observing the journey, but only observing the win, you will always sit on the sidelines looking and saying, I wish. I wish I was that smart. I wish I was able to have that. You don't have to wish. You can just simply do. Because there's nothing that you want to achieve, that there's not a plan that you can write down. There's not a journey that you can set for yourself. There's not a level of internal motivation that you can develop. And there's not amount of work that you can put in to achieve it. Now, don't get me wrong. There are things that will be harder. Some things will be harder than others. But you don't have to ever sit on the sidelines and watch and wish and ask yourself, why can't I? It's not about why can't you. It's why don't you? Because all it is you have to get up and decide that the excuses are done and that you are tired of not winning, and you decide that you are ready to win. And when you do that, you get up, you write down what you want to do and what you want to achieve. You make a plan for how you want to achieve it, and you go forth and you put in the work. And when it gets hard, you keep going. And when it seems like there's a challenge in front of you, you overcome it. And when you have questions, you ask people. And when you need inspiration, you look for those who have walked in the same path as you. And when you need to be motivated, you look to your inner circle, you talk to your friends and the people who are closest to you and those who support you, and you get that motivation from them. You listen to them, you talk to them, and you have them explain to you why you're on the right path. Remind you, not even explain to you, remind you why you're on the right path. You write it down in a journal. You motivate yourself. You read things. You get that inspiration because you are on this journey to achieve the goals. And that's how you can stay focused, and that's how you achieve goals. You cannot be on the sideline wondering what other people have that you don't have. Because just like we just had Valentine's Day and we talked about loving other people, you have to think about loving yourself. You have to think about being kind to yourself and being gentle with yourself. And so along a journey of goal getting, you have to put in that self-love, acceptance, put in the work, put in the actions, be willing to deal with the challenges and push through, so that when you're looking at another person's life and the goals that they achieved, you are appreciating the journey because you've been on one. You've been on a journey. You don't ever have to ask yourself, why not me? It's only not you when you choose it to not be you. So you can either make it happen or you can make excuses. But the choice is up to you. It's on you all the time. And every day, like we always say, it could be Monday, it could be a new day, it could be January, it could be December. Anytime you wake up and decide that you no longer want to sit on the sidelines and watch other people, that is when you can start over, begin the process, write those goals down, create the timeline, and get started. Because you can either make excuses or you can make it happen. So today, make it happen, go getters.